Welcome to Magnet Marketers, our weekly live show where we break down the head, heart, and hand approach to building sustainable growth in your business. During each episode, we share actual client marketing best practice examples, strategies, and tactics that will help you generate real results. Our belief? A magnet always works better than being a bullhorn to attract, retain, and build your brand. Ready to dive into this week's Relationship Marketing Training Tuesday? Well, let's get started. Here's your host, Mike Gingrich and Jessica Phillips. Yay, yay, yay. Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to this week Magnet Marketers, where goals always help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. I first want to apologize for the new link. Got a little scheduling happy with having a special guest like Madeline on with us this week, talking about Twitter Spaces, and accidentally booked it for later on today. So we're so excited. We might even just do it twice. It's that good, right? It's going to be that good. But if we've not met before, hello, my name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. My personal mission is to help you love more, give more, and be more through the art of authentic relating. My awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingrich. He's the president of a web and development firm called Digital Hill Multimedia, published author 5 times over, triathlete, runner, and just all around great guy. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, doing well, and good to be here again, and looking forward to our topic today.
Me too, especially with our special guest that really needs no introduction, but we're going to have you introduce her anyway, Miss Madeline.
Yes, it's always good to have a repeat guest as well, so I want to welcome everyone and introduce Madeline to us. Madeline Schuyler comes to us as a serial entrepreneur, community builder, leading Twitter marketing expert. That's why he's here today. Believe it or not, 25 years of digital marketing experience. So, I mean, you were really young when you started that. I mean, obviously. And 16 years social media marketing under her belt. She's ranked as the #1 social media power influencer in Houston. And if you haven't yet, you need to check out every week. She hosts the popular hashtag Twitter Smarter Twitter chat. So welcome, Madeline.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Talk all about Twitter.
It's good to have you back. And yes, particularly this time where we get to talk about a newer aspect of Twitter with Twitter Spaces. So that's going to be kind of the topic of the day, and excited to dive into that just because of new rollout, you know, kind of similar to Clubhouse, all those kind of things. So this should be good.
Yeah. And Jen says, hello, Madeline is one of the most badass ladies I know. This is very true. She's very badass. And not only does she have 25 years digital experience, which she must have been 5, you know, starting with the technology then. But she's one of those cool kids that got early access to Twitter Spaces we were just talking about. And so she's had a lot of time to kind of play around with this, learn it, start using it, and, you know, implementing it into your business. But for those that may not know what Twitter Spaces is and how it works, could you just kind of explain a little bit more about that to them?
Sure. Well, it's very much like Clubhouse. I know these days a lot of people are familiar with Clubhouse. It's an audio-only feature embedded in Twitter, which is so great because you're not having to go to a new app and start at zero. You can use this really cool audio feature right inside your Twitter profile. So yeah, it's a great way to connect with people because not everybody's comfortable with live streaming and being on or video of any sort, but they want to do more than just tweet. They want to do more than just type 280 characters. So I'm really thrilled that Twitter is really looking at other ways to make the platform better. And I think this new Spaces is a game changer.
I 100% agree. Like there was Elon Musk on there. This was early on when they started like opening up Twitter Spaces, and I'm just like listening into this conversation, right? And so when you think about the intimacy that video brings, but then also what you can do with audio, like you said, some people that may not be comfortable just doing a live stream, right? And seeing what's going on, but you're like almost entering into a phone conversation or a live podcast, if you will, into this space, Twitter Spaces. It's really amazing just how much you can feel more connected to brands as well as each other. Like I've built tons of relationships. We've had people on here with Clubhouse, but we and really, you know, get to know them a lot more. But there's also this thing that's just like you can't get it anywhere else, right? It's like this this FOMO that if you are tuned in and you're listening and you're hearing those moments from your favorite creators, your brands, or whether you're networking, that those moments are only there once and it's not where you can replay them. So how have you seen this audio kind of only movement, if you will, working in brands' favor?
Yeah, such a great question. It is a great way, like you're saying, like just we're bringing people together. You're able to have, I think, a more relaxed conversation than video, because again, people are not always comfortable. Plus, when you're doing video, people have to stare at their screen. And that's what makes this so much better is like, many times when I'm out walking my dog, I'll just open up Spaces and just listen in on rooms because I can be doing something else. And I think that's the attraction with this audio feature. One of the first times I was in Clubhouse, I'll never forget this. And it's the same thing with Twitter Spaces, of course. But in Clubhouse, this lady was like speaking in this room and she goes, "I'm in the bathtub right now." Now that was a little TMI. I mean, we did not need to know that, but it shows you that you can be doing something that you could not be doing if you were on video, and still have that intimate conversation.
Yeah.
Most times people are listening, with their earbuds and or their AirPods, and it just is so much like live podcasting for sure. So yeah, there's just such a great way for a brand to really humanize themselves in a whole new way that when you're doing video, there's a lot you can do with that. But I feel like audio is this whole separate animal that will allow brands to do so much more.
Okay, good. Hey, now you kind of defined it, and then but for those who maybe haven't used it yet, let's dig into like starting one, where to go, that type of thing, and also probably answer that question because I think not necessarily out on desktop yet. Is that right, or just some have it? I mean, it's definitely
it's mobile only right now. Now, here's a couple of great things about Twitter Spaces, unlike Clubhouse. We all know Clubhouse is invite only. It started off as iOS only. Now they have Android, but it's still invite only, even with Android, right?
Yeah.
And with Twitter Spaces, all you need is a Twitter account. So from day one with Spaces, as long as you have a Twitter account, you could go listen to any public, they're all public rooms. There's no private rooms with this. So you could go and tune into any room and it can be as many people that show up. There's also not a restriction, unlike Clubhouse as well. So, there's a couple of little things about Spaces that I think make it just the best one out there and we all know other audio platforms are coming. I've already been on that, Fireside or Fire Chat, that new Mark Cuban one, which is a little different, a little interesting. But, we're going to get bombarded with all these really quick now for sure, because everybody's jumping on board with this. But yeah, this is just a great way for people to connect. And the newest thing that just happened literally a few weeks ago, if you have 600 followers or more, you can start hosting your own rooms, which is huge because it was just beta testers for the longest time. And I was part of the beta test.
Longest time.
It was, because they started in December. It was actually December when they started testing this. And back then, it was mostly just Twitter employees. And I accidentally stumbled on one of Twitter employees, almost like a Twitter meeting. I really felt privileged. I was like a fly on the wall. But then they started adding more testers and really testing this thing out. And I'm just so thrilled that they're where they're at now, moving really quickly, but able to handle all the people on their hosting rooms. And there's so many amazing rooms out there.
And
so 600 minimum. And then if we want to go and start one though, what do we look for?
So what you got to do is you go to where you compose a tweet on your phone, and when you do that, you long press it. So you press and hold that button. And this is how you'll know if you have it too. Now, you should get some kind of pop-up on your phone in the Twitter app that says you have it, but people say they don't always see that first. So if you just long press the compose tweet, a few things pop up in there, and one of them is for Spaces. So if you see that in there, then you have it and you can start. But they're saying as long as you have 600 followers or more, you can start doing it. And it is just mobile only for now. They are working on iPad and desktop, which once they get to desktop, that's going to be a huge game changer because that's like the one thing people are requesting the most.
Yeah. No, I love audio only for what you just mentioned, right? Like I was doing Clubhouses while folding the laundry. A lot more
Yeah.
exciting folding laundry, let me tell you, and clean the house when
Right.
you can listen and talk into people, or talk with people. But I love Twitter Spaces because one, it has reactions. Like that's the thing that's missing, I think, with Clubhouse. You're like
Yeah.
flashing your mic on and off to like show that you're clapping.
That just did not work for me. I'm just
It
gonna
did not.
say, when I saw that in the beginning, when I first got on Clubhouse, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That just seems so lame. And then when Spaces started, I'm like, oh, this makes it way better just because we
Yes.
have all these emojis to choose from.
'Cause especially if you're just listening, like, because if you're just
Yeah.
listening, you can't even clap, right? So then you're in
Right.
like Instagram, and I would be sending people messages on Instagram like, "I love what you just said, blah, 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 blah." And then they may not see that message for like a week later, and they're like, "What was
Right.
this regarding?" I'm like, "I don't remember. It was something. It
Yeah,
was
because you're like in the
amazing
moment.
then." But yeah.
Right. Right.
But like you said too, I feel like it adds this level of I hate to use the word transparency because it's overused. Let's be real right now. And authenticity, another one that's kind of overused right now. But I do feel like there's something to be said when you don't feel like people can see you and you're still talking. Even for the introvert, though, to now open up a little bit more. So it gives an opportunity for brands that may not be as comfortable with video, right? Or even individuals like to get open. But like, what are a few ways that you've seen like brands diving in and getting started with audio only?
I haven't seen a whole lot of brands on there yet. I think they're all trying to figure out like, what should we do with this now that everyone can have it? Because here was the thing with Twitter. They did not want big brands and big influencers using it. I was surprised they let me on when they did in early February, because of the fact that there was no cap as to how many people could be attending. So if you had a huge following, it could just blow up the system and disable it. So, so I've yet to really see any big brands on there yet using it. We know that's going to be coming. We're going to see it, but I've seen, plenty of people. I really see more of just everyday Twitter users that are not influencers. They're not social media marketers like some of us, like just everyday people on there, and they're doing an amazing job hosting rooms.
And that's the powerful part. So when you're thinking
Yes.
about a brand, actually, right? Like you need to think about if you're a business, empowering your team to be able to feel like they can go step out and step in to some of these conversations to represent their own personal brand, if you will, that is attached to your personal brand. Because if somebody's following an individual and they make have a relationship with them and connect with what they're saying, then they're going to start checking out what they're doing. And if they're posting, their company's content, like that's the kind of strategy I feel like brands should be looking at, especially with, Mark Zuckerberg said in 2019, the future of social is private, Gary Vaynerchuk, all these people are saying it in the growth of dark social, where people are moving to these private, more niche communities in the inbox, in these spaces, things that you can't replicate again because it's there and it's gone. Like stories and all those things. So it's really kind of a focus and a pause moment for brands, in my opinion, of like, what can we do to create empowerment of our teams and to get invited or connect more with the community at large?
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be unlimited what we can do with this. And that's what I'm seeing so much of right now. People just getting really creative. Like right now I'm hosting 3 rooms a week. And my first room, of course, once I got this and actually I was doing it on Clubhouse first before I got Spaces. Very quickly, once I got Spaces, moved it right over. But my Twitter Smarter after chat, I used to do the live stream after chat because I know you were on that long time ago, do my Twitter chat. And then I would go, and I did that with some of the other chats I hosted too, where we would continue the conversation in a live stream. I mostly did it because live streaming was cool and it was new. And let me show how here's a whole nother way to continue a conversation. But it just made sense for me to start hosting an after chat in Spaces. So now we can talk and really unpack the Twitter chat and what we talked about, since we're so limited with our character space. So that kind of got me going. Then I started thinking of other ideas of what else can I do with this to strengthen my personal brand, to showcase my knowledge, and to help other people. So I connected with a colleague of mine that's really into social audio. And we as an experiment, we decided let's co-host a room together. We called it All Things Audio. We did this about 6 weeks ago. And the response was tremendous. We just just had a collaborative conversation with whoever wanted to come join us, talking about different things that have to do with audio. We talk about some things we've read during the week, and it just makes for this great discussion. Now, being that her and I are both really into podcasting and audio, she does audio editing. I know FOMO is a big part of social audio right now, but Twitter is not against recording. Okay. I know Clubhouse does not want to record. Twitter has already publicly said that at some point they will have native recording available. But then you get people like us who are a bit more techie, and it's like, okay, here's a roadblock. How can we get around this and record anyway? Because they seem okay with it at Twitter. So her and I have been hosting this room every week for a while now, and we started recording them. I've got extra hardware that enables me in a bunch of cables where I can record the room in Spaces, and we have now turned this into a podcast. We had 2 episodes that have come out now.
Okay.
Super cool. The third room I'm hosting, and again, these are just experiments. Let's see if anybody cares and wants to show up.
Can I ask you one question on that podcast thing? Because I'm really intrigued. Because now it's almost like the podcast, you don't know what it's going to turn into, because you could bring up people from that's listening, right, to ask questions, and like it's kind of exciting that way, because you never know what's going to happen.
We made a format though. What we decided to do is we pretty much made these an hour, and you kind of have to set yourself a deadline for how long, because I would just go talk for hours and it gets a little crazy and people come and go, which is fine, but it's exhausting. So we try to always make these rooms 1 hour long. That's been kind of my thing now. Like, let's have a stopping point every time, right? So with her, when her and I are doing this for an hour, we like to spend the first 20 to 30 minutes where her and I talk about just the two. We tell people at the beginning we're recording. You make it very clear you're recording. It's in the description. But we say, hey, we're not going to take any speakers just yet. We're just going to talk about the latest in social audio for this week that we've been reading about, discuss it, and then we'll bring whoever wants to speak later. So that way our podcast will definitely be us talking about all of that. And then sometimes when we have great conversations, once we bring on people, have more Q&A and discussion. So, sometimes we bring that into the podcast, sometimes we don't. But, and that's how I'm also doing my Twitter Smarter one as well. Same exact format. I first start where I do Q&A with just me and my co-host and the guest. And then when we bring it up with people to come in and throw in their 2 cents, it might make it into, because I haven't started those as a podcast, but I've been recording everything just in case. And that's my ultimate plan. Yeah.
I mean, you're already kind of laying out some best practices as well. I mean, kind of be upfront, time period, format, what's, how you're going to do some of those types of things. And I'm guessing you're doing these at a consistent time as well.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of same day and time every time, because otherwise people won't remember. And so my third one, which I think everyone can get something out of this, because come up with a way to showcase your knowledge and help people. Okay. And you'll get so much out of that, whether it's new business, plus Twitter just added a tipping feature, and I did get access. It's in beta. Not very many people have it. I do have it now. So this third room I started hosting, it was an experiment about a month ago. One of the things I wanted to do, and I actually thought of this back in the early Clubhouse days. I thought, I see people doing these rooms. Hey, we will review your Instagram and give you tips. And I was like, I've always wanted to do something like that, where I review Twitter profiles and share tips and stuff and help them make it better. So I launched that last month, and it's just been a tremendous response. I do a Saturday afternoon. I was like, when should I do it? Let me just pick a Saturday afternoon, and I just do it the same day and time each week. And people love this. They come from all over the world. And we randomly pick someone, and we just and I say, look, this is not about me. I will share my 2 cents, but I want everyone here to jump in. And we can all learn collectively from each other. And now that Twitter has this new tipping feature that's being slowly rolled out, once I got it, people that were coming to that room started tipping me. And I didn't ask for them to do it, but it's like, okay, this is one of many ways to monetize this new social audio.
Absolutely. Because you just said, do a show where you're go live where in a way that you are sharing your knowledge and expertise. And people are thankful for that. And of course you're one of
They
the cool kids
appreciate
that gets
that.
the
Yeah.
it gets the early access to tipping, and that just shows that you're providing value. Like that, I think that's awesome. I see so many, like TikTok has that now with like some of the live stuff, and I see that this is just rewarding, and social's moving into this way that's rewarding people showing up and serving in that way. And you know, the people stick around, then your community sticks around and kind of connects with you that way, which that it makes me wonder, like when you started your spaces and when you're going live there within your space, like are you seeing a newer community? Are you seeing, like, does it only send the invites to your current community? Like how does that work as far as who's seeing it when you're going live and joining?
Yeah, the discoverability is not quite where Clubhouse is at, because you know, when you go into Clubhouse, that is so amazing in the hallway and how easy it is to find rooms and stuff. So they're not quite there yet. They are working on it. But the way it works right now, if you follow someone who's hosting a room and they're live, you're supposed to see it over in Fleets on your Twitter mobile app. And if they're speaking in someone else's hosted room, you should see that as well. So that's how they say you should see it. Now, I know for a fact, and I have to remind myself, it's still in beta, but I know that people are hosting very consistent rooms. And it's like, I even put reminders in my phone so I don't forget, and I don't see it in Fleets. And so I'm hoping they tweeted out the link, because they just added a schedule feature. But prior to that, you had to, as a host, once you went live, you had to hurry up and tweet out the link, because if they don't see it in Fleets, there's no other way for them to get to you. So I always made sure for myself that I always tweeted it out. Now we got the link. We can do it ahead of time with this new schedule feature, which is a huge game changer, but it's a little buggy. It's not 100% just yet. They just did it last week. But yeah, you know, there's so many features that are going to be coming that are going to make this better. But for now, it's just Fleets is where you really can find it. Sometimes when you're in your home feed, just scrolling through, it doesn't stand out too well yet, but sometimes you can tell someone's live because their profile picture, as you're going through the stream, will be a purple glow, just like in Fleets, you'll see a purple glow. It'll be in the stream. And I've only seen that a few times, and not everybody has told me they've seen that yet. But here's a big tip. Make sure you have the most recent version of the Twitter app, because through this process of spaces, Twitter has been updating the app sometimes several times a week, but usually about once a week or so. They just did an update several days ago. And what I find is that if you have the most recent app update, then everything will work as best it could possibly work. But, you know, like this new calendar feature, if you don't have the brand new update, then you won't even be able to do it.
Okay. So now more than ever, we got to keep that app update, because they're rolling out stuff quickly.
You really do. And just another little side tip on that. So I have an iPhone. I've been an iPhone user forever, since they first came out. Love the iPhone. So I have all my apps set for auto update. You know, such a great feature, right?
Yep.
But for some strange reason, my Twitter app never updates automatically. I don't know why that is. So when I started using Spaces, and they were constantly updating the app, I was like, why are these new things everybody's talking about not working for me? And I started realizing my app is not auto updating. So I make a point to go check in the App Store about once every day or two, just in case there's a new one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is awesome. Go ahead.
It seems like you just talked about that scheduling feature that's coming out. I mean, that seems, you know, super important, and that's very new. But I mean, just because you've already got your Twitter followers, you know, your community there, and to be able to get that out quickly, schedule that piece out with a URL, it seems like taking away some friction, making it easy for people.
Yeah. But what's interesting with this, and kind of go back to your previous question, Jessica, about that, like, you know, with the whole discoverability and stuff in the communities, and like, with my 3 rooms, they're all 3 completely separate communities that I'm building out of it. You know, when I just assumed the Twitter Smarter After Chat would just be the people from the Twitter chat. I'm getting all these people that I've never known before. I've never met them, never knew them from the chat, but they're finding it and they're liking the content. Now they're coming to the Twitter chat, and then they're coming to my other rooms. And I think there's a lot of word of mouth going on, especially with the ones where I'm auditing the Twitter profiles. I call it Madeline audits. I've come up with hashtags for all things audio for that one, of course, Twitter Smarter, and then Madeline audits. And it's just been a lot of fun just the way I operate, I experiment. That's just my thing.
Hmm.
Let's
Yeah.
experiment and see what works. I always try to tell others, just have that experimental mindset, because we
Yep.
don't know what's going to work. I mean, there's no rule book that says here's the one way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I was
So
gonna say. It's so awesome that they have already these features in place, and just sharing out the link, like that's huge, because now you can expand beyond just your channel. And I've seen
yeah,
that with multiple, like Talisha on here. Good to see you, my friend. Like she was somebody I met in Clubhouse, and now she was on the show, and now she's joining in, and we're connected other places. You see that once people have that connection with you. And I love that you said to experiment, because I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that Twitter Spaces has like analytics or anything data with that right now, right?
not yet.
Not yet. So it is like kind of using the knowledge of seeing, like, do you see people coming back? Are they, coming back again to your space? Are they joining you other places, and kind of testing that way versus just looking for the numbers right away yet? Is a great way of seeing that. Now, any other things that you've seen with Spaces that, like a length of time? I know you said keep it an hour, because Clubhouse, we were both talking about that, like that'll get you, but is there things that you've seen, like time of the rooms and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's just been a few little etiquette things. People are trying to be really good about at the beginning, explaining what this room is about and the etiquette. And most people really get it and are just, don't talk over each other. And everybody's super polite most of the times, and just little things like that. As we get more of these features, it's going to make this such a better experience for everyone, whether you're hosting or just being a listener in a room. I mean, there's so many things that are coming. They're going to have this new ticketing feature where you can sell tickets to your room, which sounds really interesting. We don't have co-hosts. That was been my biggest thing I was complaining about for a long time. I said, we need to have like Clubhouse where we can have co-hosts, we can hand rooms off. There's been times where I have to leave early and I want to be able to pass it off to someone else so that we can keep going. And they're working on that, and that's coming really soon. They have captions, which is phenomenal.
Right.
Which when I was on Clubhouse before Spaces, that wasn't something that was happening yet. I'm not sure where they're at with it currently, but being able to have that, so many people rely on that. One of the first rooms I hosted in Spaces, a girl came to me on Twitter and says, "Hey, I'm deaf, but I want to be there and I want to learn. Can you make sure the captions are turned on? Because I want to be a part of this." And that room ran before I had my hard 1 hour deadline, went for 2 hours, and she was there the entire time. And for some reason, when I spoke, it wouldn't come up. But just about, it was, still in beta. I always remind people when things don't work right, say, hey, they're still in beta. So it's not perfect, but it's getting there. But people had to like repeat some of my things for her so she would know what I was saying. And I was amazed that she stayed the whole time. That was so cool. So these features with Twitter just make this experience so good. And they're working so hard to make this great for everyone. I mean, the team with Spaces actively comes into people's rooms. They talk to us. They've DM'd me multiple times wanting to know what do I like? What do I not like? What can they do to make it better? It's like, really? Who are y'all? He's like, what social media platform does that? So it's been really nice.
That's awesome. I could see, when you said paid tickets, I could see so many opportunities for that. Like, like I could see VCs coming on and you're pitching, your business almost like a Shark Tank kind of in Spaces, or an American Idol and Spaces, like so many different opportunities there, doing a private coaching session, just so much that you could do. But I kind of like the tipping idea better, if people are getting value from it. But
yes,
man, it really just, I love where these tools are going, to where it's humanizing so much more of what we can do. And it's like, there's no way to replicate that. You can't schedule or use somebody else's voice, right? Like, you are going live in that moment. People are there with you. They can connect with how you're feeling. And it is so much more accessible for people that don't want to just set up with the lights and all that, to do a video. You can do it while you're folding laundry or taking a bath. Is that what it is?
Well, that's exactly what makes it so great. So when I host my Twitter Smarter After Chat, Christine Gritman is my co-host, and she will. Hey, Eileen is awesome. I've always seen her in spaces. Christine will sit here and tell everybody, I'm relaxing. I'm laying in my bed. I have candles. Like she has this nice little just zen, whereas with me, I want to be sitting at my desk right here in front of the computer while I'm on my phone doing spaces, because that's just how I am. But that's what makes it so great. You can be doing anything in any environment that makes you happy, and it's okay because no one sees you, but they can still hear you and totally understand what you're talking about, where you're coming from. They can hear the emotion in you. It's very powerful, for sure.
Yeah. Real quick, Talisha says, what do you think about the integration for Android users that cannot connect their socials? How's that affecting Twitter and IG usage? Not sure.
Not sure what exactly she means by that.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Talisha. So Spaces is open for Android, if that's what you're meaning. On Twitter, just on Clubhouse now, they have opened it up to Android users, but maybe I didn't understand.
But it's still invite only, even though Android, they're saying like 1 million Android users, but if you're not invited in, you can't get in. So
yeah, on Clubhouse.
But it works. Yeah, on Clubhouse. But on Spaces, Android is totally fine. Everybody says it works good. They're always testing it. I mean, I've been in rooms where Twitter employees are testing it, and they were doing a lot of Android testing, and they've got it working really good.
I love it. So there you go, Android users and Twitter users. So I know what I'm checking out tonight while I'm folding laundry.
And we got a special resource too, Madeline. You've put together something on Twitter Spaces here. So why don't you give it a little word about that?
Yeah, it's called Getting Started with Twitter Spaces. Just a real basic little PDF guide that will walk you through what Spaces is about, how to go into rooms, how to start your own room. So you can definitely check that out, MadelineSklar.com/Spaces PDF.
And we will put that in the chat. Mike's already on it. That's right.
I put it in the Facebook one, so I'm not.
We'll make sure that it is copied over to everything. And also, if you want a recap of this and all of Madeline's wisdom, a link to her guide, as well as just more info on Twitter Spaces, make sure to type a recap in the comments here, and it will generate a chat spot that will get you signed up for notification for the article that goes out tomorrow on our blog. So I can't believe this was already 30 minutes. It went by really fast. Madeline, you are always a wealth of information and just a Twitter and all around rock star. So thank you so much for your time here today.
Oh, thank you both. It was an honor being here with y'all today. Thanks for having me.
Oh, and
thank you.
Too.
I got to ask though. Okay, so Saturday afternoon, right? It was, and of course, Twitter Smarters on Thursday. I want to say 1, but I'm Eastern time, and you're Central, right?
Right. So the Twitter chat's at 1 o'clock Eastern. The after chat in Spaces is at 5 o'clock Eastern. We kind of take a little bit of a break in the afternoon and come back into Spaces. And the All Things Audio is Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then my auditing Twitter review profiles, we do that Saturdays at 1 o'clock Eastern.
There we go.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
Excellent. Wealth of information on Twitter Spaces. So this was awesome.
Yeah, we'll make sure to include all those times you can catch Madeline online. She always has phenomenal guests. I can attest to that, learn so much. And I think I've never met someone that is not a huge fan of Madeline. That's how much value she adds. So I'm serious. But thank all of you for joining in. Thanks for being patient with us as we had to reset the link here today. I appreciate you as always. Hope all of you have a great rest of your week. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Magnet Marketers. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.